Says you cannot just predict, but we'll be having our guests in studio key in their words and their expertise on just what is happening across the country. Your feedback is highly welcomed across our social media platforms. We are streaming this broadcast live on EBN TV. Our SMS line is 23059. Let's get this show started. Allow me to introduce the gentleman joining me on our panel in studio this morning. On my immediate right, I'm joined by Muito Mureithi, who's a political strategist as well as a friend of the mountain. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning. And next to him is Wycliffe Alutalala, the national chairman of Champions for Ruto. Asante sana Alutalala for your time this morning.
Thank you.
I mean, so much is happening. We are all just trying to keep up with the political scene. But the best place to start is to just talk about the former President Uhuru Kenyatta, who made, an appearance during the Jubilee Party's National Delegates Convention. And not just him, but he was also accompanied by his former Interior Minister, that is Dr. Fred Matiang'i. And the talk of the town is, Jubilee, or Uhuru's just reemergence in the political scene, sort of cementing his voice on what should be done in the country, what should the government be doing, changes the political atmosphere. From where you sit, Alutalala, begin with you. What is your view of this? What actually is the role of former President Uhuru Kenyatta in this race?
Okay, first of all, morning, and thank you for the invite.
You're welcome.
Now, I think for the past 1 or 2 weeks, a lot has been happening in our political space.
Right.
Just to be specific on the Jubilee NDC that was held along Ngong Road, I think, as we are all aware, the Jubilee Party was the ruling party for the last 10 years.
Yes.
From 2013 up to 2022. And the former President Uhuru Kenyatta, is the official party leader of the Jubilee Party.
Yeah.
And as we are also aware, for the last 3 years, the Jubilee Party has gone through a lot of internal strife, whereby a section of the membership did what we can call an internal coup. And it has gone through a lot through the court corridors, trying to reinstate the leadership of the party. So after that was done successfully, and the party was given a go-ahead by the Register of Political Parties to continue with the leadership that was there before, they chose to do several amendments to their constitution to align with the current realities and their future plans. So, as the party leader, I think it was in the interest. It is in the best interest of the party that the party leader takes charge, and I think that is what informed the decision.
And one thing he does is talk about his policies and how he says his policies were better. They should have just picked from where he left and proceeded with those policies. One would think this is a straight dig at, the UDA government, and perhaps a way of, making headlines and ensuring the Jubilee Party stays at the top ahead of 2027.
Well, I think we are going to, zoom in the gentleman, Uhuru Kenyatta. As a person, and also as a leader of Jubilee Party, and also as the chairman of Azimio Coalition, since it's not dead yet. And Azimio is a broad-based partner. That should be well noted. So whatever Jubilee agenda has definitely cannot be detached from the Azimio interests, the broad-based interests, because it is from that platform that he works. Coming to the same man in the Mount Kenya politics, he's on a revenge mission, and I'll explain why I'm saying this.
Uhuru on a revenge mission?
Yes, on a revenge mission, and I'll explain why later. But at this point, let me declare his rights as a person who has every right to have his inclination, political inclination, to any political party or any coalition or any political formation he chooses or he decides. It's a right for every Kenyan, as much as him now a citizen, ordinary citizen in this country, in this republic.
Right.
Uhuru Kenyatta, as the leader of Jubilee, made clear statements that having noted that the invitations for the Jubilee event had been extended to the other members of the united opposition, and they boycotted, which was not highlighted by the media, of which the media sometimes does what really pleases them, depending on who comes in strong to them. So sometimes we may not be privy to these details. However, they were expected. There are some of the guests you had mentioned that they're guests who we expect, but they never showed up. And so his tone was actually affected. His mood was actually affected. The mood itself was affected. In his speech, you could see, you could actually pick this from the tones, that he's out to sell Jubilee Agenda 2027 bare knuckles, and especially in Mount Kenya. He is not friendly to the united opposition. They've declared they can go it alone. And of course, it is after the united opposition and the people of Mount Kenya discovered that Matiang'i is not coming in with his feet on the ground. He is actually dangling in the hands of Uhuru, ready to be puppeteered and moved around, you know, with the strings.
Okay.
And so we know that Uhuru Kenyatta is not vying, and Mount Kenya people know that Uhuru Kenyatta is not vying for presidency.
Yeah.
And so, to the people of Mount Kenya who understand what the politics of Mount Kenya and the Kenya's politics is all about, when he comes down to the kingpin politics, that means that Uhuru's agenda in Mount Kenya is about why didn't you people do what I told you last time.
But is this just about Mount Kenya?
No. We are talking about the politics which is here right now. Okay. Uhuru Kenyatta is not coming in as a national figure ready to rake in all of votes from all over the country, because Jubilee is not as strong. If it was strong, it would have won the 2022 elections with the person they fronted. However, what I'm trying to explain here is that the politics of Mount Kenya are pivotal in any politics that are running in this country. Even what is happening in Western Kenya today, it's still anchored on what is running within the united opposition politics.
Yeah.
Because the united opposition politics, led by Rigathi Gachagua, Kalonzo Musyoka, Eugene Wamalwa, these are the gentlemen, Natembea from a distance, still within this group, is one that is causing shivers in the broad base. And that's why the strategies are being applied. Position Uhuru Kenyatta, please come up, help us. Or we'll bring up the issue of expressway, we'll bring up the issue of standard gauge railway, we'll bring up the issue of Mau Mau Road and Naivasha Port, we'll bring up the issue of the 4 trillion loan. I'm not talking about it, they said it. And because it was on a headline, that the government is planning on forgiving Uhuru Kenyatta and his family 4 trillion loan. For what? So when I'm looking at this, I can feel where the person is groped, and he has to do the politics. Yeah. And that's why he has decided it's bare knuckles. But let me tell you, Mount Kenya politics, it's not the leaders who drive the politics. It's the people of Mount Kenya who drive the Mount Kenya politics. He will come with all the money, but already seen from very far. If they have said William Ruto is one term, it's going to be William Ruto one term. All just right. The way we said, if you want us to elect Raila Odinga, tell us the good reasons why we should elect Raila Odinga, if not to protect the interest, your interest and the family interest. That is how it was. Okay. So that's the 2022 elections. Now, coming to think that the people, you insulted the intelligence in 2022, are you now going to twist them and use their financial might to change that politics with the Jubilee ticket? Is going to be very tricky.
Very tricky.
Concluding that statement,
Fred
Matiang'i is not an amorphous character that has come just from nowhere. He has come from the Kisii community. And the Kisii community are fighting each other to agree on whether to front Maraga to the 2027 presidency or marshal their support for this gentleman called Fred Matiang'i, you know? And Fred Matiang'i is Uhuru project.
All right,
So
we'll come
that's
back
what
and
I'm saying.
speak more
That's what
on
I'm
Fred
saying.
Matiang'i. All right,
Yes,
we'll
that's
come
what-
back and speak more on Fred
Absolutely,
Matiang'i.
because we were still on Jubilee
Okay.
and their candidate. So that is why I was trying to explain in conclusion that Fred Matiang'i is not just Fred Matiang'i because he's a friend of Uhuru Kenyatta, he worked in Uhuru Kenyatta's government. It is because right now, he's not just an employee, he's actually a representative of the Kisii vote.
All right. Alutalala, would it worry the UDA counterparts or fellows or Kenya Kwanza government when they see President Uhuru Kenyatta coming out boldly and, you know, criticizing their policies, which may also signal that he has no problem being the vocal party leader that we know he can be in terms of pushing for the candidacy of a particular person? Would it worry the UDA government?
Now, first of all, I think before we come to that, let me just pick a few things from what my brother here said about the dynamics around Uhuru's re-emergence. You know, this country, I think we have a problem of short memory. We forget so fast. And there is something my brother also mentioned about revenge. Even though he didn't explain how the revenge is coming about.
He'll come to it. Okay. Yeah.
But what I know is that the dynamics of the 2027 elections are going to be so furious and so confusing. Unless you've really read the 48 laws of power, it will be very difficult to disseminate what is actually happening. Because, as my brother says, for the longest time ever, the so-called united opposition has always been talking about Matiang'i being one of them. Until just a few days ago, when Matiang'i officially popped up at the Jubilee NDC. And as I was coming here, I read somewhere in the Star where there was a poster of the United Opposition this weekend's itinerary. They're having a meeting in Kajiado. And now, all of a sudden, Matiang'i is not part of that team. That tells you, number one, kwamba this narrative of a united opposition is neither here nor there. There is nothing like a united opposition. What is here is a loose concoction of a united team of people brought together by hate against one man, William Ruto. And as you know, hate is never binding for long, because interests will always change. For example, the other day, they were Matiang'i, they were dancing all over. Today, Matiang'i is no more. Now, what I know is that I think the biggest undoing in the so-called united opposition is the mistrust. Because you remember the DCP party leader, Rigathi, the other day saying Gathoni wa Mjomba is a mole. Now, the other day, you will hear people saying Kalonzo Musyoka is negotiating with Ruto. So, ideally, if you look at the so-called united opposition, I highly doubt if it will hold until 2027, because the level of mistrust in that team is just on another level.
Okay. Now,
look at DAP Kenya, which is a constituent party in that united opposition. The party leader is Eugene Wamalwa, who is actually supposed to be the core principal in that alliance. But at his backyard, he's wrestling for the party with Natembeya. Now, that tells you that if, for example, now the coalition was to say, for DAP Kenya, we are dealing with the party leader who is Eugene, then automatically Natembeya balls out, because he believes that as much as he's not the party leader of DAP Kenya, but he commands more support on the ground than Eugene Wamalwa is the party leader. Whereas Eugene Wamalwa believes is the party leader and the bona fide person to sit at the table of men in that coalition. So for me, where I sit as UDA, I don't find it being a problem. The fact that Uhuru Kenyatta is coming out strongly to push his UDA, his Jubilee Party. Reason being, if you heard Jeremiah Kioni what he said, is that any party, whenever it is formed to get power. So it is in their right as Jubilee to come out strongly and prove their worth. But just as like my friend said, in 2022, Uhuru Kenyatta was the president, and Jubilee was the ruling party. And they formed a coalition called Azimio, and they endorsed a candidate called Raila Odinga. At that time, William Ruto was a deputy president who was actually a deputy president by name, because we know Matiang'i was the one who was like acting like the deputy president, very close to the president. But they lost. So I'm not very sure this new energy that now Uhuru is coming up with that will be able to dislodge William Ruto from the seat through Matiang'i, whom I don't think has anything comparable to the candidate they had in Azimio in 2022. That is Raila Odinga.
All right. Mwito, you know, Andotanla argues that, you know, the united opposition in itself will not be able to hold till 2027 because they have not been able to hold Matiang'i at least to be part of this particular team. Do you agree?
If you ever visited a potter's house, doing that creation of a pot or a vessel, he starts with picking the soil. And the soil that he picks is not as pure as it is. It has impurities with it, but he takes it to the workshop. So United Opposition Front has presented everybody and everything that everybody carries with himself, including their personality, their character, characteristics, their behaviors, their mannerisms, their principles, their history, and their projection, their prospects. All that, when you see them in one dice, that is what they carry. That is the same thing that happened with those who were with William Ruto during the campaigns. There's what we wanted to happen when we were campaigning for the election of President William Ruto. We were discussing NHIF to be pumped in with 800 million or 1 billion shillings and transform and have it accommodate all diseases. We multiplied that 103 times in his broad-based, in the broad-based government, and brought in 103 times because we had to cough out 104 billion for the same idea that we had for 1 billion shillings. When you say it's a working government, this is what Kenyans are looking at, and the Kenyans are not daft. Kenyans understand what they are talking about. We are not having anything against William Ruto as an individual. We are having a problem with William Ruto's leadership style. Explain to the Kenyans with very simple language how it came about that we can have a plan during campaigns to have you elected as president with 1 billion shillings to be injected into NHIF, and everything, every disease, every sickness is paid for fully. Then you do away with that, introduce a new thing, and a scam is actually noted that something is not right. We kick out Adani, we left the other players in the game. We left the Convergence for Dwale in the game. We left their payroll for which is Dubai-based but has Kenya's affiliates in it. These are things in public domain, and they're the ones who are running SHA. They introduced the 4 billion, the 104 billion. All of a sudden, the leader of Convergence becomes the CS for health to ensure that money goes where it's supposed to go. We are yet to see, and it's going to be a big thing. It started with the scams for the ghost hospital, something we've never heard. taking place. You know? So what I'm trying to explain to you, how do you explain to Kenyans in their sane mind who understand all that and can see? How do you explain to those interns who have been duped in the deal they had initially? And you still expect the same Gen Zs to vote for you, and there are others who are coming out this week, towards the end of the year. 1 million of them will be coming to the job market, and you're still peddling they're peddling the same lies. It's not about William Ruto. It's about William Ruto's style out. And you can only kick out William Ruto's style out by kicking William Ruto out with the one-term vote. It must end by a vote. And that is why I'm seeing it from that aspect. If Jubilee has no problem with that, ODM has already proven to be there to support those ills. Kenyans are seeing. And when it comes to time for voting, they will do the necessary. It's Operation William Ruto out and Operation Broad-Based to the grave. That is how it's going to be.
The question is, does the opposition provide an alternative solutions to these problems?
I was explaining the ills and the reasons why the opposition will hold fast. Because opposition is not the 6 members or the 5 leaders. It is the masses that front them. And when I say Kenyan politics cannot avert being tribal, but positively, because the negative tribalism is what we try to shun. Like what the ODM had introduced in 2006, the Matawadoa, I don't know who, I don't know what, and all that propaganda that led to killings. That's the negative tribalism we're talking about, which was championed by Raila Odinga. What we are trying to say right now is that the politics we want is a unified politics.
Okay.
The United Opposition Front knows too well. Kalonzo Musyoka has every member from, majority of the members of the Kamba community supporting his joint venture with the people of Mount Kenya, via Rigathi Gachagua, who has been fronted by the people of Mount Kenya favorably, knowing too well that Uhuru Kenyatta is their child. We stood with Uhuru Kenyatta even when he never qualified to be a president. We made him and stood by him as a community. We said Niketu. Just the way people in Nyanza said Raila Baba Yetu, and other people say, had good things to say about their people. And that is the politics. If you go to the US, it's about race. If you go right here, Somalia, it's about clan. You go to UK, it's about class. You know? They're not angels. So when people who are bedeviled by things similar to ours coming to advise us, we need to be very conscious. And our youth is so exposed, and our Kenyans are so exposed from the old to the young, because today we have vernacular stations that are keeping abreast with information of what is happening and transpiring in the Kenyan politics through vernacular stations. So United Opposition Front will stay united, but it will shed off, taking you back to the Potter's house. Hizo manyasi na miba na mawe zote kina Matiang'i ndio manyasi, miba na mawe, wataenda wakitoka. The Wamushokas who never meant, what they stood for. They will leave. Let me tell you, they will leave, and they will not be kicked out. Nobody kicked them out. They step aside because their interests are not met. But they're people who are focused and committed to accomplishing one mission for the good of Kenyans, to transform SHA, to ensure that roads are done and completed, projects are completed, which were highlighted by this gentleman who was also compromised, this young man, I can't remember his name. All those projects were not completed because he was compromised. What you're trying to say, the communities living around those projects, they know what they're talking about.
Okay.
So they will vote with that kind of tenacity.
All right, Altola, what's your response?
Now, you know, it is very good to throw around slogans. And I fully agree with this, my friend, that Kenyans are not dwarfed. And, you know, as we speak today, we are like around 2 years to elections. And as a government, this is time to work and deliver on the manifesto of what was promised. For the opposition, it is time to critique. And one thing I'm happy about this current opposition is that they critique minus alternatives. Now, when the time for politics comes, it will be upon government to say what they have been doing for the last 5 years. And that is when you will realize that the politics that will be there in 2027 will be about ideas, not personalities. Because just as he puts it, he has said here that Matiang'i is not just another angel that has just been born and dropped from Mars. Similarly, all these guys he's mentioning in the opposition, they are not new. They have been here. And as he puts it, this country is very technology savvy. If we were to play the clips of Rigathi Gachagua as deputy president and Rigathi Gachagua as a quarter term deputy president, it will tell you that no one is an angel. All the projects that these guys are shouting today to be bad, they were all in support of those projects. And when we talk about Mount Kenya, I want to demystify this narrative about Mount Kenya. This country is not about one region. And that is what Ruto is trying to do and show that this country is for all of us. When I heard Uhuru Kenyatta talking about some of his projects that he did, I asked myself, for example, I'm from Kakamega County. For the 10 years of Uhuru's government, and even my governor was on TV the other day saying there is no single project that was done by Uhuru Kenyatta and completed in Kakamega County. My governor was on TV the other day on Citizen. So when you talk about 10 years where all the projects were going to one region, and now you want to tell us that because you are now out of power, you are now a saint, you can now do wonders. I think we are not that naive. So what we are saying is that the 2027 politics will be about what you have done as a government and what the opposition is offering as an alternative. It is not just about slogans. It is not just about saying one term. You can say one term as many times as you wish, but the ballot will be determined by who will be able to convince more people to his side. And that is why when we see the united opposition trying to come up with all manner of suggestions and ideas about how they'll make Ruto a one-term president, we are very happy. Because that gives us even the urge to keep pushing.
For those that say the former President Uhuru Kenyatta is UDA's project or Ruto's project, what will be your response?
I'm not sure about that unless they tell us why they believe so. Because for me, what I said and what I heard him say is that Jubilee shall be fielding candidates in all positions, either directly as a party or through a coalition that they'll agree on. He never mentioned the coalition. So on the issue of project, I'm not sure.
All right.
Maybe you can clarify just a little bit on that one.
On what?
On the project.
On the project?
On the project.
Okay. Briefly as we go for a break.
Becoming a project, it doesn't mean that Uhuru Kenyatta will be funded by the UDA government to do whatever he wants.
What does it mean?
He has the money to do that. But the interests, personal interests that must be safeguarded and which have been public domain is what we are looking at. Let me tell you, if the government points at you and talks about maybe the Panama accounts, the 4 trillion, or maybe the 33.3 billion shillings, which were attached to his family, is a story that was watered down when he was in the
we have to go for a break.
When we come back to these kind of things, circumstances.
Yeah.
I'm saying, because it was brought on one of the dailies, the Standards, that the government is planning to forgive. Now, when the government mentioned that expressway can be repossessed and become, repossessed by the government, it caused him to rush to State House.
Okay.
What I'm trying to explain to you here is that we know.
All right. We have to go for a break. Okay.
One's interest, you can only, he's not doing it because he loves William Ruto. He's doing it because he is coerced by circumstances to do it.
All right. I'd love us to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want us to focus on the ODM factor as well. The ODM, we all know is celebrating 20 years, and there are some sentiments that the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga said, saying what he said was, who says ODM is not going to field a candidate come 2027. So I want to talk about that and what this means for President William Ruto, who arguably is banking on the support of ODM party to ride to office come 2027. So we take a break. Keep your questions, your feedback coming in. We'll be happily sampling them as we conclude with the broadcast later on. So stay with us. We'll be back shortly. Watching the Leadership Challenge, and we have been taking a look at the state of the 2027 race, the key leaders involved, and some of the factors which may, be critical ahead of 2027. And on this second part, we'd love us to take a look at the ODM party, which has been, for lack of a better word, blowing hot and cold on whether or not they will support President William Ruto's bid for a second term. Recently, the ODM party leader Raila Odinga questioned who said that the ODM party will not be fielding a candidate come 2027. The question is, what does this mean? So my guests are still here with me in studio. Alutalala, is this just mind games from the ODM party leader? We all know the broad-based government and the working agreement, and how now the ODM party has, some of its members at least, have turned crusaders of ODM party and saying, they're not going to leave government. So when the ODM leader stands and says and questions who say they will not field a candidate in 2027, what does this mean in essence? Will they field their own candidate to go for the presidency and deny UDA that particular support that they bring on the table?
Okay, I listened to Raila Odinga live when he was speaking in that particular function. And I think we Kenyans, or this media specifically, has really narrowed down on what Raila didn't say than listening to what he said. If you listen to what Raila said, he was very clear that ODM as a party has a working memorandum with the UDA party. Okay. And the memorandum is clear that they will work with UDA until 2027. Okay. And he went further and clarified that on matters beyond 2027, it is a matter that has to be discussed within the party hierarchy. And that's how he asked, nani alisema? Na akasema kwamba, don't go on talking about things that have not been discussed and agreed on. Which to me, it was calling his team to order. Because what we'll realize is that before that statement, ODM has been like having two factions. One faction condemning the broad-based arrangement wholeheartedly, and the other faction like really into it and saying we are into it beyond 2027. So what Raila was doing is that he was clarifying that the current MOU that we have with UDA party is up to 2027. Now, the other decisions have to be discussed and agreed on within the party frameworks. And I think if you are keen, you will realize that from the day Raila made that statement, it has brought two effects. One, internally, it has cooled the temperatures within ODM party. Because now those who are critiquing the broad-based government are at least relaxed in the hope that now Raila will be making a decision on whether he's running or not.
Okay.
So that has cooled the temperatures. But on the other side of my friend here, the United Opposition, they are excited that at least Raila is now showing signs that he may not support William Ruto in 2027.
All right.
But from where I sit,
Yeah.
and I was here on some show some few months ago when I said that it will be in the best interest of Raila to stick with William Ruto. Because looking at the current political dynamics, even if Raila was to vie today, he cannot beat William Ruto. Because as I said earlier, in 2022, he had one of the largest coalitions and the full backing of our sitting president, and he was never able to beat William Ruto. So if I were Raila's advisor, I would only advise him, and also keeping in mind his age. The Raila of 2027 is not the Raila we saw in 2007, for example. So I highly doubt if he has the energy to push William Ruto out of that seat as a sitting president. Even if he were to be lied to again by the Mount Kenya guys, that they will support him. Because they lied to him in 2022. They never supported him. We never saw Uhuru even taking Raila to Nyeri. Even Githurai. He never went with Raila even to Githurai as a presidential candidate for Azimio.
Right.
So we know the United Opposition may be desperate for Raila to bolt out of government. But one thing we know, this is all about optics. And I can tell you for free, the Mount Kenya region, for example, has always been voting against Raila. So the reason why even the bitterness against Ruto is on a high level is because now Raila is with Ruto. And if Raila was to bolt out of government today and say that he's vying, I can tell you for free, you will see Mount Kenya now supporting Ruto. Because they always vote against Raila. So for me, I don't.
All right. Muito, how would you interpret this working agreement of we are working together until 2027? Because, what are the timelines? Is it just before the elections? Is it after the elections? How would you interpret that timeline?
And let him also confirm, if Raila was to bolt out of government, where will they vote?
Anybody with a receptive tongue has a tendency of adapting a character of double speak.
Okay.
That's Raila Odinga for you. Last month he said, we will support William Ruto in the 2027 bid, and everybody went haywire because they were not for the idea.
Are you confirming what Alutalala is saying?
Alutalala, psychopathically, is saying that Baba has not said anything. I'm trying to come from, you see, we always deduce the didn't say or the not spoken statement, the not spoken from a statement that has already been spoken.
Okay.
That's from where we deduce these things. So only those who have done literature can understand this. Well, that's how you pick a statement. Somebody speaks and does not say what he implies. We know what Raila Odinga was implying when he said that we will support William Ruto. It means we are not going to be in the race. Okay? But the people who support ODM, the ODM members, told him that's your choice and that's your position as an individual, not the party position. So when he came around and asked a question like, who said? You said it last week. you said we are not voting a candidate. And so they got angry. The people who said ODM should have a candidate. And Raila Odinga was there saying they are supporting William Ruto in his 2027 re-election bid. Now, that's double speak. And Raila Odinga is known for that. So when I say the leaders are fronted with their character and characteristics, this is a characteristic that we know. He's never honest with what he says. Remember, when he said, I will back you up, Kalonzo, this time, Kalonzo becomes the president with my backing, then all of a sudden he says, I'm back.
You seem to agree with the statement that, hold on, you seem to agree with the statement that the DCP party leader Rigathi Gachagua said that the biggest quote-unquote watermelon is Raila Odinga.
Absolutely. They said watermelon. You see, let me explain to you what watermelon means. Watermelon is green and red at the same time and white at the same time. What's the color? That is what Kibaki used as mafia. The same chicken can produce white, brown waste. Tomorrow you feed it with green, it will produce green white, green black. You know, tomorrow it feeds on something else. It will produce another color. Same chicken. So you never know the color, and that's why Kibaki referred to as mafia. It was not an insult. He was just saying, "What's your color? What do you stand for?" And Raila Odinga, we don't even know what he stands for. Is it for the public?
Yeah.
Is it for the interest of the community? That is the goal. Is it for the interest of Kenya, or is it for the family and personal interest? We have been able to analyze and got to understand that he has prioritized them. 1, 2, 3. The nation comes first. The community comes second. The family comes first. So coming to what we are explaining, whether Raila Odinga's, I think is Raila Odinga's
ODM party,
is going to front or present a candidate. Of course, I've explained who Raila Odinga is. By the time he's full, because hapa ni kukula, they are selling a manifesto they never believed in. So how do you sell something you don't believe in, something you criticized, and then you claim to know it better than those who sold it? That's why when we are talking with my brother here, Amtala, I'm talking about pumping 1 billion shillings to NHIF and everything once. Everything that was to be introduced by a chief was to work with 1 billion shillings. Then they are there to support 1.4 billion because they don't know the route. They don't know the cost. They don't know they don't know the root, the origin of the idea. It was hatched by people who supported the UDA, which is us. So when you come in and pretend to know more and better than we do concerning UDA, we know what has been absconded, we know what has been trivialized, we know what has been accomplished.
Should William Ruto trust Raila Odinga ahead of 2027?
Of course he knows he can't trust Raila Odinga. How can he trust him when he was a running mate for the 2027 presidential campaign for Raila Odinga, and he was the front runner, the man who spoke before, who introduced Raila Odinga in every rally, knowing too well that he started to become, to deputize the President Raila Odinga if he was to be elected president in 2007, only to have Musavi Mudavadi picked up and granted the deputy prime minister's slot, and William Ruto was just CS minister, and to add salt onto the wound, William Ruto was sacked by Raila Odinga one evening, you know, and replaced by somebody else. Then Kibaki woke up in the morning and returned William Ruto to the cabinet. You know, what I'm trying to explain to you is that William Ruto knows the person he's dealing with. And you can imagine the atrocities that were caused against, especially against our community. Same community he spent 4 years campaigning in, until ODM was so unsettled to see William Ruto while he was deputy president for 4 years campaigning in Mount Kenya region. And you say Mount Kenya region is not significant in Kenya politics. It is the determinant. You cannot ignore that. He knows that he's on that seat, courtesy of Mount Kenya vote. So what we're trying to say is ODM right now is a house on fire. Because one, the young generation does not trust in Raila Odinga. And this is not only in Nairobi, even out there in the village, they don't trust Raila Odinga. So they know that they're splitting. Go to Western Kenya, where you come from. The boogeyman, like Rigathi Gachagua is in Mount Kenya against the broad-based government, is George Natembeya. Of course, we have Kinambandwa, and they are in the same party, DAPK. So DAPK is scaring everybody. And watch the Malaba seat, how it goes. And the strategic pull-out by Rigathi Gachagua, that's how team works. You know, you will see how they will flow ODM. So what I'm, and UDA, what I'm trying to explain here is that William Ruto knows that. Remember, Sudi went to his Twitter and tweeted immediately that, because he said that he's not going to support, who said Twitter support money. When this man gets his interests taken care of, he will definitely leave William
All right.
So they will not be together because Raila Odinga would also like to be on the winning side. But the united opposition will not have Raila Odinga in the front line, no matter how much he tries to fight. He is finding people who are so aggressive. They will tell him to his face, Nyuma, I'm a agent.
All right.
It's so simple. So
Okay.
Raila Odinga
Yeah.
will actually be on the ballot box because it is his interest and he has to furnish that one. Let me tell you, the family interest, Baba and his father said, give me at least 2 hours to become president. What does that tell you? Hii kitu naitaka sana.
All
Now,
right.
as a son,
Okay.
I also wish to
Yeah.
have this dream of my father fulfilled. And that's my opinion. And that is what I'm saying. From what is not spoken, from what is spoken, you can actually deduce what is not spoken.
Man of the history. Alutalala,
You
what is
know-
the game plan if ODM backs out?
You know, before we come to the game plan, we need to demystify some narratives that are being thrown out here. Number one, it is very, I don't know the right word to use, but you see, imagining that Raila Odinga can come out of the current government, go join the united opposition, and tell him to rally behind Rigathi Gachagua, a one-term MP, who accidentally happened to get the DP position, is laughable. It can't happen. Raila Odinga has no equal in the so-called united opposition. Now, it is also laughable to imagine that Rigathi Gachagua, with his DCP party, failing to field a single candidate in the by-elections is being strategic. It is not. All DCP candidates have given different reasons for pulling out of the races, and one of them, like the I think it is the Banisa guy, he made it very clear that the DCP party is so confused that as candidates, they are not even able to know whom to trust at the secretariat. So for me, the fact that DCP is unable to field a single candidate in these by-elections tells you of the immaturity of the party leader. And I want to tell my friend here, I'm from Kakamega County. We have a by-election coming in Malava.
Yeah.
I can tell you for free, UDA is winning that seat. For your information, UDA is the only party that conducted primaries in Malava that attracted 5 candidates. What does that tell you? How can 5 people have interest in vying on a particular party if the party is not popular? This DCP guy, who was being fronted by Cleo Malala, chickened out after he saw the UDA primaries and the turnout. Can you imagine a turnout in a primary of over 20,000 people to do nominations? It has never been there. Nominations normally, especially in by-elections, are always having very low turnouts. But for the first time in Malava, we had over 20,000 people who came out during the UDA primaries to pick their candidate. And I can assure you, Malava, and for your information, the DAP candidate who was given a direct ticket by Eugene,
Seth
Panyako, we have a case in court. So we are not even sure that he'll be at the ballot. There is a case, a pending case that is ongoing.
Yeah.
So until that is ruled, we are not sure if Panyako will be at the ballot.
So
but be it whether it's there.
I'm going to allow him to conclude. What's the game plan if ODM backs out?
First of all, the issue of ODM backing out is neither here nor there. But in the unlikely event that ODM backs out and decides to run, what I know is that we will have 3 formations. Because the president will automatically defend his seat. Raila will run as an independent candidate on his party because, as I've said earlier, Raila has no one in the current opposition that he can work under. whether as a deputy or whatever.
Yeah.
So he'll automatically run if he was to bolt out. Then we'll have the so-called united opposition, which to me, I can assure you is not united, because we are talking about the current guys masquerading here as opposition. But we are forgetting, just the other day, Jimmy Wanjigi took over the Safina party. And he has been given the mandate to run on Safina party. So there is no way the opposition will have one candidate. Okay. So we know there are no chances of Raila bolting out, but if it happens, I can assure you we will still go to the ballot with William Ruto as the presidential candidate, and we will win.
We have 2 minutes to wrap it up, so in a minute.
I'll start with the latter. UNGD has the money to purchase the votes. Not to purchase the votes. The voters are people. You have to convince them.
Of course, he will convince.
Allow me. Because what I'm explaining is that...
In a minute, Muito, we are running out of time.
Voters and the support. Why DCP causes sleepless nights is in the US, not here. You guys, in every campaign empowerment, in every statement, any TV station or radio station or wherever you were interviewed, the bogeyman must be mentioned with David Gachagua. He's causing sleepless nights. Why? He's something to reckon with. DCP party, imagine scaring you, and it's only 4 months. Why are you scared by a toddler?
How do you scare someone who's not vying?
In a minute, Muito, we're wrapping it up. Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is, if Raila Odinga will come out to be voted for, I think we had said that he cannot fit the united opposition. He will either, because since he can't fit, he's actually going to come and split the votes as an individual candidate. Lastly, since time is not on my side, I would like to do that deliberately on this camera. Request the Gen Zs to team up with the united opposition, suss out their ideals, go register as voters and vote for it. Otherwise, emotions don't fit in ballot boxes. It is a vote that will cause the transformation that you demanded in 2024, 2025, and agitating for it now and even thereafter. And even if we are to do a hospital, there is a system of government that must be taken care of, and you must be in it. Okay. So you must take your votes, register as voters, vote for the united opposition candidate, team up with them, be in that government, and cause the needful change, because they too believe in you.
All right, Alutalala in a minute.
For me, I think I also support the issue of Gen Zs coming out to register, because the numbers that are already out are not very convincing. We've seen many IBC officers sitting without people going to register, which is not good. But as a government, I want to trust and tell the young people and the Kenyans in general that President William Ruto is keen to make very hard decisions that will transform this country. And for your information, all the things that the former President Uhuru Kenyatta was unable to face are now being done by Ruto, and we are really seeing real transformation. And it is upon that scorecard that we shall be judging him in 2027. And God willing, we trust and believe that William Ruto will get a second term. Thank you. Right.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time this morning on my immediate right. Muito Mureithi, who's a political strategist as well as a friend of the mountain. Thank you very much. And Wycliffe Alutalala, the national chairman, of MM Champions for Ruta. Asante sana for your time, gentlemen, this morning. Thank you. I hope you are duly informed this morning on just various views that have come out from our guest. I can see some feedback. One says Ruto and Raila will work together in 2027. Well, that's just a wait and see factor. Even ahead of December, we're expecting the united opposition who said they will be fielding one candidate that will challenge Ruto. And Rigathi Gachagua says they will make sacrifices, whatever necessary, to ensure that, you know, they send the head of state home. So it's all just a matter of waiting and seeing. Thank you for watching this morning. My name is Cynthia Nanjala. See you next Friday, same time, same place on Leadership. Have yourself a wonderful morning.
Thank you.